One thing I've learned on my journey to enlightenment is that you should be very careful about letting the weakness in. And in fact, you should do everything you can to not let the weakness in. And this video is specifically important, not for most people actually, but specifically for the people who are very ambitious or just ambitious in any way, shape, or form who don't like the idea of a normal, mediocre life. If you like the idea of having a normal and mediocre life, you can watch the rest of the video, but you'll understand why this isn't for you. But if you are ambitious and you've known that you want to do something with your life that's more than the average, maybe it's being the best, maybe it's being great, maybe it's being very good, but you know that you just don't want to be average, then this is specifically especially important for you. And what I've noticed, you'll notice why it's important for you soon. What I've noticed is that when people get closer to graduating high school, they suddenly become much less ambitious, and they call out, like they think ambition is childish, it's immature, desiring more out of life is, yes, immature, it's a stage, it's a phase, it's an era, or whatever they want to call it. And they see the act of becoming less ambitious as a sign of growing up. The truth is, it's just the sign of having no balls. And I only realize this now because there's two friends of mine, who, when they were in high school, both wanted to be great. Well, not great. One of them did. The other one just wanted to have a very good life, like be a millionaire, have a good like physique, have a great wife, all of these things, right? The regular self-improvement kind of goals. The other guy wanted a little more than that. Like he didn't like the idea of an average life and wanted like to be one of the greats. They graduated, and before they graduated, I noticed that they would progressively get less ambitious and talk about it less. And after they graduated, when I talked with one of them and when I talked with the other, it felt like I was talking to a completely different person. The first guy, the guy who just wanted like the regular self-improvement goals, like millionaire, financially independent, a beautiful wife, kids, freedom, what was the other? A good physique, like good physical health, all of these things. He was suddenly talking about, oh yes, well I'm going to, and his voice literally changed. This isn't to make fun of him, but it really felt like his voice became higher pitched and more like uncertain and stuff. He was like, yes, well I'm thinking of going to university, and then I will get a job, and then I will work, and then I asked him, well, didn't you want to start a business? I remember you told me you always wanted to start a business. You had a few ideas. He was like, yeah, I guess, but maybe when I'm like 40 or 45 or like later on when I have more experience, then I'll start a business. I didn't know what to say, man. Now, no disrespect to the guy. He's a very nice guy. We still get along very well. It was just a little shocking. And the other guy, oh, man, I still like the guy. I think we're on good terms, at least on my end. But the last time we talked, I got the sense that he was basically saying like, oh, you can talk about that. Like you can talk about wanting to be great and locking in and being all productive and disciplined, but you don't get it because you're still a kid. And when you graduate, wasn't far from it, but it felt like I almost like touched some kind of like heartstring of his on accident, like fucking cut it in half. Where he basically said like, oh, well, you'll see when you graduate and you go to university and you become a real adult, then you'll realize that being ambitious, like wanting to do all these things is immature. What did he say exactly? He was like, oh yeah, I realized that I actually don't know that much and that I need to wait to try anything. Did he know a lot? Maybe not. But does he need to wait to try something that he's always wanted to do? Probably not, no. And so what I noticed was, in general, this like disintegration of ambition as people got older. And what really scared me is because I'm about to graduate in around 3 weeks, was the same thing started happening to me. I started weirdly feeling less ambitious. And it's not that, like, if you asked me, are you less ambitious? I would have said, no, I still have the same goals. But if you ask me, do you still feel the desire to reach those goals? Do you still desire being the best in your field, the greatest of all time? No. The desire just slowly and then pretty quickly faded for a while. And I was wondering, oh fuck, like this was scary. It was like I don't want this to be happening, because ever since I was a kid, ever since I was like 10 or 11, I've always wanted to do something big. At first, it was just like money, then it was greatness, and now it's reaching enlightenment and sharing it with the world. So I've always wanted to do something great, and so losing that really felt like losing a big part, not a big part of my identity, but like an important part of my identity and what I want to do with my life. And some people might say it's wrong to be ambitious. I don't want to listen to those people because they're usually sad, depressed, and don't have anything going for them. But it really scared me. And I realized the reason is, there's two reasons. Number one is the brainwashing. The longer you live, the more brainwashing there is about not being ambitious and how it's okay to, and how greatness is a fucking virus. I swear I heard that in a video. I saw this video where it was like, well, most people are going to be mediocre, so you shouldn't even try and be great. Or you just like over time, by chance encounters, you hear more and more voices that are dissenting and they're like, oh, you shouldn't try to do anything good because most people are going to be average and you won't. Why do you think you'll be the one, and all of these things? That's number one. But number two is that when you graduate high school specifically, when you first become an adult, the cost of ambition becomes real. Because before you graduate high school, you can dream all you want. You can try everything under the sun. You don't really face consequences. You still have a roof over your head and you still have food, and you don't face social ostracism because, I mean, a little bit, yes. I mean, I've been trying businesses since I was like 11 or 12. A little bit of ostracism, a little bit of like, oh wow, he's so young and he's trying, like he has like a successful business. That's great. When you turn 18, 19, 20, 21, and you give everything you have to some crazy dream, so just a business in general, literally the same business you could have started when you were in school, in high school, but now you're starting it as an adult, people aren't going to encourage you. They're going to think you're crazy. They're like, you're an adult. What do you mean you're trying this new thing? No, get a job. And so ambition has a real cost, not only in terms of like social ostracism and social acceptance, but also in terms of financial and like security wise. Because if you try something and it doesn't work, you might go broke. You might not have food on the table. What is the ideal? Well, I think this is like a filter. It's a filter to see the difference between the people who really want it and the people who just pretended they want it because it led to status or whatever it led to. And most people just never wanted anything in the first place, so for them it doesn't even matter. But it's just about asking yourself, do you really want to be great? Do you really want to be above average? Do you really want to achieve anything in your life? And why not? Why would you? Just, do you want to? And if you don't, then I think that's just not true. But no, I just don't think that's true. So it's really about like making sure you don't lose that edge. And I think a big part, like something that would have really helped me, was if I was just told by somebody. So in your case, that's me. If somebody just told me that I would experience this and why I experienced this, because just by knowing, you're like, oh yes, I seem not to desire the things I used to desire. I seem to be a little less ambitious, not because I've actually lost the ambition, but because there's a real price to it now. And so the question becomes not, I guess the question I asked earlier wasn't good. It's not whether you want to be great. It's, are you willing to pay the price for it? And what price are you willing to pay is going to determine the things you get. I could relate this to enlightenment in a few different ways, because if you don't know me, my goal is to reach enlightenment, and I document the journey and the things I learned along the way. Not only in terms of enlightenment in my 3-step framework that I have so far is realizing there's no meaning, choosing to live anyway, and then the deeper realm. When you choose to live anyway, you want to live to the fullest, therefore achieving greatness in a way for some people is going to be living to the fullest. And using the metaphor that you are at a table with a bunch of ingredients, you don't know where you are, you don't know why you're there, but you are there, so you might as well do something. Using that metaphor, greatness for some people is what they want to do with their time at this table with these ingredients, which might look like making the biggest cake in the world, being the best cake maker, or the best steak cooker. That's what greatness looks like, and that's what some people want to do, and given there's no universal meaning, they're free to do that, and so they can go do that. In my case specifically, I know that by reaching enlightenment and sharing what I learn, that will rank me in among the best, among the greats of history, and that's what I want to do. So it's like a byproduct. And so that's why I've been thinking about this, because turns out reaching enlightenment is not a very popular thing. It's not something that's socially accepted. And people look at you as if you're crazy, just like a lot of other things you might want to try in your life. So that's how it relates to me specifically. But the thing is, like, this is really the only way to achieve what you want to achieve. The only way to get to the places you want to get to, unless the place you want to get to is a mediocre life. If it's anything above that, you're going to have to pay a price in terms of social ostracism. It might be not going out. It might be being single and not getting married for a while. It might be not dating at all. That's the same thing. It might be investing all your money in a business. It might be not having a job to fully focus on a business. It might be moving to the other side of the world. And you see these gradually rank up as you get to bigger and bigger levels of, let's say, greatness, or higher above the baseline of a mediocre average existence. Anyways, if you don't know me, again, my mission is to reach enlightenment, and I basically document the journey and share the things I learn along the way, so you can follow along if that sounds interesting, and I will see you tomorrow.